10 News begins with breaking news.
A violent wreck turns this car upside down after striking someone walking in the middle of a Pacific Beach intersection. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt, in for Lindsay Pena. That person suffered major head injuries. 10 News reporter Mackenzie Maynard is joining us now. And Mackenzie, crews are just now starting to clear the scene.
Kimberly, I want to direct your attention. This white car behind me is the last of two vehicles getting ready to be towed away. Now, officers on scene have told us as soon as the tow truck leaves the scene, they will be reopening Garnet. And like we mentioned, for hours now, Garnet has been closed off. We actually want to give you a live look from Sky 10, as you can see just how widespread the traffic is in the area. We're at Mission Bay Drive, as well as Garnet Avenue, and a lot of drivers here have had to be rerouted around the area. As many of us know, this is a very busy street. But let's get you to some of the video from earlier. Now, what we've been told, and like you mentioned, we now know a 67-year-old man who was standing in the center divide on Mission Bay Drive was hit by a silver BMW. He was immediately taken to the hospital, and we now know he's suffering life-threatening head injuries, a broken pelvis, and internal injuries as well. Now, that silver BMW also hit a Ford Fusion head-on, that white vehicle we just showed you live out here, before it flipped onto its roof and landed in the Enterprise parking lot. Now, right now, back live at the scene, you can see officers are taking down the crime scene tape, which means we are just moments away from this street reopening, and that white vehicle has now been towed away from the scene here as well. We know so far 2 people were taken to the hospital, including that one man who was hit, who was not in a vehicle, who was standing, again, like I mentioned, in the center divide. So right now things are wrapping up, the investigation wrapping up live out here, and thankfully for drivers who may just be leaving work now, things will start to clear up, but in the meantime, there is quite the backup out here. Reporting live, Mackenzie Maynard, 10 News.
The house started getting more on fire. There was when I kept on screaming, "Get out, get out!"
That young man says he tried to warn his family about a fire that ripped through their Logan Heights home yesterday morning, but it was too late. His parents were killed and his 3 siblings remain hospitalized.
Our 10 News reporter Natay Holmes is joining us on this story. Natay, the family's oldest son, says he woke up to find his bed was on fire.
That's right. 26-year-old Wilbur Romero was the only one to make it out of the house unharmed. And he says after losing his mom and dad, he's just hoping that his brother and sisters pull through after that fire ripped through their Logan Heights home. He says he's devastated because he tried getting to them.
Like I told him, I'm always be there for them.
A promise he tried to keep to his family early Sunday morning. The flames broke out at their Logan Heights home just before 4:30. Wilbur Romero chose not to show his face on camera, but tells me he woke up to the flames.
My dog's jumping on me and trying to wake me up. So I woke up, and when I woke up, I just my bed was on fire.
Romero says he tried putting the flames out and getting to his family, but as the flames grew, he was forced to get himself out, and neighbors told him to stay back.
I was trying to turn off the fire with the water hose, and they just said, "No, you should leave, you should leave." I'm like, why would I leave? And I kept on screaming to them, get out of the house.
6 family members were inside at the time. Dad, Jose Romero, and Mom, Nicolasa Mayo, did not survive. 3 of the siblings are still in the hospital.
They're really nice people. You know, they're the type of people that would keep to themselves, never mess with any of the other neighbors, you know, very friendly.
Maria Orona lives right next door to the family. She has opened her home to Romero after the family lost everything.
He's devastated, like he should be, you know, of course he's going to be devastated. He lost 2 of his family members. The rest of his family members are in the hospital.
Romero says he was questioned by police, but has no idea how the fire started. After losing his parents, he now has a message for everyone.
I always talk to her parents that I hope that helps you guys so it doesn't happen the same thing that happened to me.
flowers. Someone has left flowers outside of the home. Romero would like to thank the neighbors who stepped in and tried helping the family as well. A GoFundMe has been set up, and you can find that link on our website. Nate Holmes, 10 News.
Nate, thank you. Right now, San Diego City leaders are laying out their plan to deal with the homeless problem over the next decade.
10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is live outside council chambers with the plan's nearly $2 billion price tag and who will pay for it. Rachel?
Kimberly and Steve, this is an ambitious plan and one that has unanimous support by council leaders. It ultimately calls for adding more than 5,000 permanent housing opportunities. The plan is essentially a roadmap for how to address homelessness in the region over the next 10 years. But the San Diego Housing Commission says the plan can do 3 things over the next 3 years. First, virtually eliminate homelessness among veterans, eliminate and prevent homelessness among juveniles under 18, and reduce San Diego's unsheltered population by 50%. The plan calls for the city to more than double its stock of so-called permanent supportive housing units. The cost is estimated at $1.9 billion over the next decade. Where that money will come from exactly is unclear, but there are 2 2020 ballot measures that could bring in cash if passed. Either way, supporters of the plan say we are already paying for this problem.
One thing that you have to consider, and I don't mean the team that did the report, I mean the leaders in this city. Everybody immediately has to get off the street. That's your immediate consideration. Nothing else.
As a person walking down the streets of San Diego, there's feces, there's urine. It's terrible. I don't want to smell it. Nobody really wants to smell it. But where are these people supposed to go if stores don't allow them to use their restrooms, restaurants don't allow them to use their restrooms, and there's just no public places for them to use the restroom? Maximizing our resources and the investments that you're making.
So most people who are here today spoke in favor of this plan. Supporters also point out that since 2014, nearly 8,000 of what they call households have been taken off the street. Reporting live at City Hall, Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Thank you, Rachel. San Diego State could get closer to buying the stadium site in Mission Valley. San Diego State is expected to make an official offer of $68.2 million later today at the San Diego City Council meeting. The council is not expected to vote on the offer. It's not clear if the city will accept this deal. The two sides still disagree on a number of key terms.
Chula Vista City crews are scrubbing blood red paint from a statue this Columbus Day. This morning, police found it with the red paint splashed from head to toe. This comes after groups rallied around the statue this weekend, asking for Columbus Day to be renamed the Indigenous Peoples Day. They say the statue stands for hate, theft of land, and genocide.
The vandalization of the statue, those are not our methods, and that's the reason why we went to the City Council to indicate that it should be removed.
And this is the second time the statue of Christopher Columbus in Discovery Park has been vandalized. The first time a plaque was removed. Police are now investigating.
And new information is emerging about the Texas police officer who shot and killed a black woman in her own home through her bedroom window. Today, the officer resigned. As ABC's Romina Puga explains, the former cop faces possible criminal charges.
Anger continues to rise following Saturday's police shooting of 28-year-old Tatiana Jefferson in her own home.
There is nothing that could justify what happened on Saturday morning. Nothing.
The officer, now identified as Aaron Dean, tendered his resignation this morning.
Had the officer not resigned, I would have fired him for violations of several policies. Additionally, the separation paperwork will reflect that he was dishonorably discharged.
The incident sparked by a call to the police non-emergency line from a concerned neighbor who saw Jefferson's front door open at 2 in the morning.
I haven't seen anybody moving around. It's not normal for them to have both of the doors open this time of night.
This body cam footage shows the officer searching the perimeter, and the moment he spots Tatiana's figure in her own window and shoots her.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Slowed down, we can see her open the blinds and the officer pull the trigger less than 2 seconds after his verbal commands. Tatiana was in the room with her 8-year-old nephew playing video games.
This man murdered someone. He should be arrested.
Our family now is asking the city of Fort Worth to exhibit the same characteristics of a Tatiana Jefferson. to be honorable when it comes to narrating the memory of this beautiful soul.
Officials confirmed the officer never identified himself as police before pulling the trigger.
None of this information can ease the pain of Tatiana's family, but I hope it shows the community that we take these incidents seriously.
The community has called for an independent review of the police department, and the police chief says there will be an update on Aaron Dean's criminal investigation tomorrow. Romina Puga, ABC News, Los Angeles.
In the last 30 minutes, we have learned the deadly Saddle Ridge fire in Los Angeles started under a high-voltage transmission tower. That is, according to investigators, but they haven't determined an official cause yet. The nearly 8,000-acre blaze is now 43% contained. Evacuation orders were lifted over the weekend. Residents returned to their homes, some of them in ruins. This wildfire broke out Thursday, quickly grew, fueled by Santa Ana winds. One person died in the fire. In Riverside County, the Sandalwood fire is 94% contained. Evacuation orders for a mobile home park were lifted this morning, but the area is still closed after it was ravaged by the flames. Public health officials warn of unsafe conditions there. The deadly fire scorched just over 1,000 acres. It killed 2 people, even destroyed more than 75 structures. Officials say the trash truck that dumped burning garbage started this fire on Thursday.
All right, now to a developing story. President Trump has announced he will soon issue an executive order imposing sanctions against Turkey for its offensive in Syria. In a tweet, he announced that steel tariffs would be increased back up to 50%. As ABC's Serena Marshall shows us, hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced.
A senior U.S. official tells ABC mass atrocities are being committed against the Kurdish people at the hands of the Turkish-backed militia, including some ex-Al-Qaeda. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Syria.
This is one of many hospitals throughout this area that are treating the wounded, mainly civilians who've been caught in the middle of this conflict.
The United Nations estimates at least 130,000 people have been displaced by the fighting, hundreds more reported dead. All at the hands of the militia sponsored by Turkey, who've executed people on the roadside.
It appears to be, if true, that they would be war crimes.
The mass bloodshed occurring 1 week after the president ordered U.S. troops pulled from the area. The move essentially ceding the region to Syrian dictator Bashar Assad and his chief backer, Russia, as the Kurdish strike a deal with Russia and the Syrian regime. The leader of those forces writing today that if he had to choose between compromise and genocide, we will choose our people. But raises concerns over the resurgence of ISIS, as ABC News is confirming dozens of ISIS prisoners who were high-value detainees escaping in the chaos. The president countering this morning on Twitter, accusing the Kurds of systematically releasing ISIS fighters to get the U.S. involved again, and they are easily recaptured by Turkey or European nations from where many came, and big sanctions on Turkey coming. But back home, Republicans continue to disavow the president's decision.
Leaving an ally behind, abandoning people that we frankly told that we were going to be with is disheartening, depressing. Frankly, it's weak.
At the White House today, there will be a meeting of the National Security Council to discuss Turkey and the deteriorating situation in Syria. It comes as Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin emphasizes those sanctions the president mentioned on Twitter remain ready to go. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
And just this afternoon, President Trump said the roughly 1,000 troops he ordered to leave Syria will now remain in the Middle East to prevent a resurgence of ISIS.